a sip.
It's just, your beatboxing is just so intense.
What do you mean?
Like, it's just so, like, it's there in your face.
Yeah, well, that's what I want it to be like. Welcome back to Fuck the Boxes.
FTB fam.
FTB, baby.
But yes, welcome back. It's been 3 long, I nearly said years. Weeks. Feels like years. We've been through so much.
We have been through so much. This has been like a roller coaster of 3 weeks right now for us in our relationship and
Yeah,
in our
everything
lives.
previous to this 3 weeks been a fucking, like, joyride.
Yeah.
That's been bliss compared to the past few weeks.
But I feel like the vibe for this podcast is breakdowns create breakthroughs.
You heard it here first.
We broke through.
We broke through the breakdown.
Yeah.
Breakdown. Usually on the pod we're saying how M's had a breakdown. This time it was me.
It was.
And my God, it was bad.
But my God, did it make us stronger.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, as Alexus said, she had a breakdown.
Yeah. So the past few weeks have really been about this breakdown, the universe testing us, triggers,
Exes.
which I really wanted to talk about on this episode.
We got... Man,
It's
the universe
juicy.
is fucking crazy.
It is fucking crazy.
We're going to keep this one off this episode, so tune in for next episode. But, wow.
It
'Cause,
is
like,
just,
don't... Whatever you speak, make sure you're ready to back it up because...
you're going to get tested.
And we have got tested for multiple things. And now all I can see in my life is how when I say something, the universe tests me. And now I'm like, I'm careful with my words. And I'm like, if I'm going to say something, I'm going to make sure I'm ready to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to stick to your word. Be confident in what you say.
Like this breakdown, if we had our phones on us, we could go to Alexis's Instagram and at the beginning of 2023, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, beginning of the
Yeah.
year.
It was like the first day or something. It was like my New Year's post.
She posted on Instagram and she said, I love my life.
I'm so in love
Love.
with myself and my life.
And then all of a sudden, Alexis was not in
I
love with
fucking hated
like,
my life and
well,
myself.
the universe tested her and she broke down.
Yeah, hardcore. And then it was so funny because after this, like, huge breakdown, Emma brought up that post on my phone and showed me. And she was like, look, this was you a month ago. Like, a month and a half ago. Oh, actually, no, 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
And I was there like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I
was
showed her.
there.
I said, the universe will always test you and make sure you mean what you say.
Yeah.
Like, don't just say something.
Yeah. And there's more to that whole testing thing to do with exes.
But first, we need to talk about the breakdown and how we broke through.
Yeah.
Because my heart right now is so filled because there was a moment within those last 3 weeks where we both were really unsure if we were going to get through this. We didn't understand how we were going to get through this because we both wanted to get through it and we both were trying to put in this effort, but the wall was not breaking. We were not getting through this and we both were looking at each other like,
what the fuck?
what's going to happen?
Yeah. And it was just so hard because we're having so many conversations, really trying to get there and to reach this point of like comfortableness again and connectedness. But for some reason, every conversation after, I just actually left it feeling so empty and like no closure at all.
Yeah.
So it was just like a cycle. We just kept going back there. We'd had so many big conversations, couldn't get anywhere. It was hard.
It was hard, but again, like the lessons we kind of got out and the strength we got out of it as a couple, I'll do it again. Oh, be careful with your words, Emma.
Yeah, can we just
let me have a
rewind?
break first.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But yeah, so in our previous episode, we talked about how we want to be more
independent.
Independent, yeah, I guess because we spent up close to a year putting 110% into our relationship and building this foundation we always talk about that we can rely on. And we felt in that process we kind of stopped focusing on us and what we want, because at the end of the day we're two individual people who want different things for our own lives. So I want to get more into photography and videography. I want to keep creating that, and right now I've been really enjoying the social side of things and creating friendships and bonding with people and just doing what fills my heart and sets my heart on fire. And Alexus has other things that set her heart on fire. And then we have things together that set both our hearts on fire, but we wanted to focus more on just the things
on our own.
Yeah, and doing our own thing, because we were always doing things together. So
yeah, so listen to that last episode if you want to know all the minor
details.
But
that episode we realized, because we did have multiple conversations about what the hell is going on, and we never really got it until I was like, I've had enough. We need to sit down and we need to properly talk about this.
Yeah, get to the deep core of why things are happening, because basically I was really, really depressed, and it was just bringing up all these emotions of being really insecure and unloved and unwanted and
feeling unwanted.
Yeah, feeling unwanted. I wasn't actually unwanted. So it was just bringing up so much hurt, and I just felt so alone. And after the last episode where we talked about, not going our separate ways, but focusing on ourselves, and that for some reason really triggered me into actually just like grabbing onto Emma more and wanting to be with her more and wanting to connect with her more and wanting to, I don't know, it was like, I didn't even know this at the time, and it didn't even occur to me that, oh, maybe that's what's going on. But because I was just grabbing on, it was just making her pull away, because I was really grabbing on. And we just discussed being more independent.
So that's why like my mind was at, because we still hadn't talked about it, and Alexis still didn't understand what was happening. Because when my mind, I was like, oh, but we're still like, doing our own thing. And I'm really enjoying doing my own thing and really focusing on me. That's not to say we didn't focus on the relationship, but just putting more energy into ourselves, and I find that I'm thoroughly enjoying that.
Yeah.
And because she didn't really know what was going on, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, well, hang on, I'm still pulling away. Like, I still want to do my own thing. She's grabbing more. And I'm like, I'm still trying to do my own thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but for me, because I was just so like stuck in my depression, I was like, why are you pulling away? Like, I don't understand. Like, we have this beautiful relationship and like foundation, and like we're so connected. Why are you not wanting that now?
Yeah, because she thought I didn't want that.
Yeah, because when I'm like asking for so much, and especially when you're so in your mind of like being depressed and being insecure, you want a lot more than you would usually need if you're not, right? For me. Yeah. So I was asking for a lot more, but there was just this wall up, and it made me sink even deeper into those feelings. And then I had a really big breakdown.
And this really put our relationship to the test.
Yeah, I haven't had a breakdown like that before.
Yeah, and we've never had that big of a test in our relationship. And it's not only really helpful for us to go through that, it's probably helpful for the podcast, because this is going to happen in your relationship. It's kind of unavoidable of this breakdown, if we're healing ourselves anyway.
I don't know. Maybe there are people out there who are really stable and don't have these things happen, and are just like, just living their best life, no breakdowns. I don't fucking know. I don't think I know anyone like that.
Not. That would be crazy.
Maybe we're just really fucked up. I don't know, but I mean, I am pretty fucked up. But that's what trauma does to you, right? And if there are people out there who are living their lives,
I admire you.
Good on you.
But I actually don't mind. I like breakdowns because they, again, create breakthroughs and make me grow as a person. So
I don't like it at the time.
No, it's very hard at the time. But yeah, it was a big, 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 big test to our relationship, and really put us to the test to our words, because we always speak about coming from a healthy place, not reacting,
Yeah, being conscious in how
being conscious. Yeah,
you're reacting to people and how you're treating people.
just being conscious in general, I
Yeah.
guess. So that was really testing. And wow, did it show how far I've come as a person. It's kind of bittersweet going through this because in my last relationship, I was the person to grab, and I dug my claws very deep when I felt my partner leaving. Yeah, so I would have been the person, and it's not as bad as I was. Well, how do I word that? I was worse than Alexus. You know what I mean? Like, I dug my claws deeper than you did in me. And so as I'm going through this, I'm kind of in a semi-position where my ex would have been.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, oh, I made her feel like that? No wonder, like, she was pulling away. And I'm thinking, okay, now times 10.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like, of course she did all the things she wanted to do to pull away. Because it isn't a nice feeling when you, like, people grab you and then you feel like you can't breathe or you can't, you know what I mean? So it's kind of bittersweet, and it kind of like, I feel like our relationship sometimes puts me in a position where I'm now the opposite person in the situation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like, it really makes me come to this realization of who I was and the way I made people feel, and just understanding like, I come to an understanding of the other side, and I find it quite beautiful, actually.
Well, yeah, if you can see your growth in that.
Yeah, and just understanding of the other side, I really enjoyed it, but not really.
I didn't.
It's kind of bittersweet. Anyway, that was just a small, like, off to the side thing.
Yeah, but the breakdown, in short, it was because I was so emotional and, you know, I was projecting, I was shooting shots. Emma really came from a place of understanding that I'm not really in a right mindset to talk about things. Even though at the time I was like,
Talk to me.
Like, talk to me, like, tell
something.
me, like, tell me why you did this, or, you know, I really wanted to get answers and I wanted to understand, but she was just kind of like, no, like, this isn't a safe space for us to talk about it. Like, I'm here, I love you, but we can't talk about this right now with
because
where you're at.
Yeah, no answer would have been okay for her mind in that mindset. There's no answer that would have justified the hurt she was feeling that night. And I saw that, and I made the decision not to talk about it, even though I saw it hurting her, because all she wanted was answers. But again, I didn't feel like it was a safe space. I didn't feel like it was going to get us anywhere. And it was hard. It's really hard. Like, during this whole 3 weeks of going through this, I was a person to give. I used to be a person who would give my all to someone, to the point where it would jeopardize me and my mental health or compromise my wants and needs. And the person who I've grown to be understands that that's not a healthy thing to do. So I didn't give Alexus everything she asked for in those moments, because I saw that it would jeopardize multiple things, including myself and the relationship we're trying to create and grow and be in. And I also saw it jeopardizing her growth. And it's really hard to go forth and push on. One, it makes you question if you're doing the right thing. And it also hurts seeing that your partner is hurt by your actions. But it felt like I could see the bigger picture because I wasn't in that mindset. I was still anchored down. I was still grounded. I was still in somewhat of a good mindset. And I felt like I could see the bigger picture at the time. And you were just really going through it. So I was just hoping you would write it out and see where I came from. And hoping, you just didn't keep seeing it as if I wasn't loving you enough, or that you were feeling like unwanted, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it took me a while to come to that, because in the moment I did not feel like that. But now, and now after having conversations about it and not being in that mindset, I definitely say that.
There was a thing I kind of helped her to understand too after the fact, because we've had many conversations after, is that you were asking for love out of a place of insecurity, not out of a place of like true love. You weren't asking in a healthy way. The only reason why you wanted so much was because you were feeling so insecure. And that wasn't something I'm willing to respond to. You know what I mean? Because if you're asking it from a different sort of place, that's a different situation.
Yeah, you can respond differently to different needs from different things.
Yeah, but because it was coming from a place of insecurity and you just trying to grab onto me, really, I didn't feel it was productive to give you all that. And don't get me wrong, I did, I just knew she couldn't see the love I was giving her. Because it wasn't like I stopped telling you I loved you.
No, yeah.
I told you I loved you every day. I still intertwined all the love I do to you, give you in our everyday lives. It's just that you were feeling super insecure and you wanted more and more and more. But I've been in a place where insecurity really ruled me and controlled me. And I know that monster doesn't stop
growing. If you feed it.
Yeah. It will always want more. Your insecurity will always want more. It will not, as much as you think in the moment, give you what you want and then you're good to go. It won't. It will keep growing, and then you will rely on that insecurity and that love that I am feeding to the insecurity. And I didn't want to put us in a situation where you relied on that. So I didn't give her it.
It was really hard.
Yeah. For both of us.
I survived though.
It was for I see that was really hard for both of us. And I could see how hard it was for you.
Yeah. And it was even after that breakdown, we'd had a conversation that the next day, and even the day after that, it had been a few days where I still felt so, first of all, I felt really embarrassed because I just had this huge breakdown and it was very uncontrollable, and she hadn't seen this side of me before. But I still wasn't feeling like I got what I wanted from that breakdown after the breakdown. So I was just I don't know, I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel secure. I just still felt shit, and I felt embarrassed. I shouldn't have done it, and I don't know, it just didn't feel good. And one day, and maybe how long after do you think? Maybe 4 days after, 5 days after. We were camping at work. We were in the tent, and then Emma was just look, we need to get to the core of why you're feeling like this.
Yeah, because I felt like every time we've talked about it, we never hit the core, and we never left a conversation of understanding and just all that stuff. We never really just got to it.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it always left feeling not great.
And by that time, I had time to think about it, to process it, to understand it. And I realized that this depression and this mindset really clicked in after our last episode. And so I kind of came from it. I was like, I'm just going to talk and tell me if I'm wrong. You can cut me off at any time. But I feel like, this depression or this mindset came on right after our last episode when we were speaking about doing our own thing. And because I have been in this situation where I felt like when we were trying to, me in the past relationships, we were trying to be more independent, my body went into freak out mode that they might find better or might, I don't know. And I just gripped. And so I was like, I wonder, and I'm curious if that's how you're feeling. Because we've had that conversation of going more independent or focusing more on ourselves. So I asked her, like, is that something that you're feeling, or have you been triggered? Because I know your previous relationship was very like, you were inside all the time, like you didn't get to,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And they were out doing always their own thing and not really giving you love and showing you love.
And I was always like, I had no friends. There was a lot of jealousy in the relationship, so I felt like having friends was too much drama, and I was very isolated, and I just felt really alone a lot of the time. So yeah, after she said that, I was like, like it definitely could be, because it's not that I didn't feel at all. I wasn't like, oh, she's gonna go do these fun things and find someone better and leave me. I didn't feel that, but so it was like a little bit different, but I also resonated with like, oh, it would make sense, because even though I'm not feeling that, I feel like my body's reacting like that.
Yeah, because I was like, is your body going through a trigger?
And it's so weird to have your mindset be one way and to believe certain things and think certain things, but then your body reacts differently. And that's really confusing. So yeah, we just had that conversation, and then I don't know, like what else did we talk about? It made a lot of sense, and I felt like we really got to the deeper core of why I was acting the way I was acting, she was acting the way she was acting, and because I'd felt so unloved and, you know, unwanted, etc., because she was pulling away, I was just making assumptions. Okay, you know, she feels differently, or she wants different things, or she can't love me the way I want to be loved. But instead I found out that, you know, the reason that she was pulling away is because she's looking after herself. Would you like to?
Yeah, that's kind of when it comes into the play of like, it was really hard, but I wasn't going to compromise myself and my mental health, because in the long run that's compromising our relationship, that's compromising everything in my life. And I've been there before, and I wasn't going to put myself in that situation again. So how I kind of felt like there was a like going through it was like there was so much happening, but I just knew I had to stick to, one, what my body is telling me, what my intuition is telling me, and two, I need to make sure I'm good through this, because I can tell she's not good, so I need to be the good one, like in a better mindset. You know what I mean? And I think it took a while for Alexus to understand, because she is still, would you say, like, you were to give someone your all?
Yeah, because I was someone in a relationship who, if they needed me, I would drop everything and I would be there for them. Like, it wouldn't matter what I needed or what I had going on. I was there for them because that's what they needed. So because I'm someone who's been like that my whole life, because she wasn't doing that for me, I was like, I don't understand. Like, you say you love me this much, but then you're not dropping everything for me. Like, how can you love someone and not do that for them? But really, like, if I'd felt like that because I was in that mindset of like self-destruction and negativity, but you can't, like, if you give someone your all and you've got nothing left, then what do you have to back yourself on? What do you have to rely on? You've got nothing. Then you're down there with them. So it's just like, I know it was really hard for Emma to not give everything, but really,
I gave everything.
Everything she could without depleting herself.
Yeah, and also like everything we needed to make sure that this relationship was going in the right direction in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I felt so good after our conversation in that tent, because I'm like, oh, it's not because she is losing interest in me. It's not because she doesn't want to be with me like she used to. It's because she's actually focusing on herself as well
Yeah.
and doing what's best for her while still trying to be there for me. And it just like it just really, I don't know, really well
Click
worked.
something.
Yeah.
In your brain.
And something as well that we kind of discussed at the end of that conversation that I realized, and we thought we'd talk about it in future because we just had a really good conversation about what was going on. We got to the core of it. We felt like we'd closed off something. So then we were going to talk about it in future, is that we're, like, we've talked about love languages before in our relationship and, you know, how we receive love and how we give love. But it changes over time, and as you evolve and relationships get deeper, obviously things aren't always going to stay the same. But because because Emma's idea of connecting with me during the past weeks and couple of months is more of like a quality time thing. And for me, that wasn't enough. Like, I wanted to be like connecting. I wanted to be in like physically, I wanted to be like intimately connecting, which was so different. So the balance of connection was so off. Yeah. So it was just hard to like understand. I'm like, and in that depressive mindset, I'm like, okay, like she's not wanting to connect with me, which was like a huge part of me feeling loved. So we realized, okay, maybe our balance of our love languages is a bit off, and that's something we need to come back to. And it just showed how important it is to keep checking in, because your partner's always going to be growing and your relationship's always going to be evolving.
Yeah, that's also another thing that I mentioned, is that don't have an expectation of who I am or what this relationship is. Like, we need to constantly understand that I'm going to change, you're going to change, which will change this relationship dynamic. And it seems really low, but you know what I mean? Like things will change, because that was a big thing. It's like, you would never have been like this at the start, or this isn't how our relationship was at the start. I'm like, we're not at the start anymore.
Yeah, that was a year ago nearly.
Yeah. So, of course, like, we're going to change. And if we want this long term, we have to come to an understanding that this is going to change multiple times. I think what's really important about that conversation in that tent that we had, that with the breakthrough really, and finding the core reasons and both coming to an understanding of where we come from, was the safe space we created. I really made it like known that my love comes, and this kind of has to do with a little bit with the exes too. But
yeah, I cannot wait to share the next episode.
But my love comes with no conditions at all. There's no condition that will make you love you less or make you love you more. I just love you, and that's that. So there's nothing that you can say that will stop that love. You know what I mean? Like, you could be like, I don't want to be with you, and that's okay. Like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I still love you, but I want you to go and love someone else. You know what I mean? Like, no, I want you to...
Yeah.
You know, but creating that safe space made it so we could really talk about what we really felt.
Yeah, and not be worried about she's going to get angry at me, or she's going to get upset with me, or I'm going to be judged, because we can say whatever we want, however we're feeling, and it be a safe space to express that.
Yeah, and know that love is not going... Like, the love that we have for each other is not going to change.
Yeah, and it's okay if we don't understand each other in the moment or at the time, and we can come back to it. We can let ourselves process, come back to it, and try and discuss things in an understanding, patient, judgment-free space.
One of the big things with the breakthrough for me is that, one, it showed me my growth. And I feel like in this podcast, like, my friend Aaron, he was like, you always talk about the hard times, like, maybe it'll be really good to talk about like your wins. And then we're talking about this situation. He was like, that's a win. Yeah. Like, you guys won. Like, this is a great thing, because look what you guys got through. Like, you mean, like, and this is a win for your relationship. And that's what I really see it as. Like, my heart's full because we won. We won that really hard thing that felt at the time impossible to get through. And because we stuck to our core and the root and of what we went into this relationship, which is communicating,
love,
being conscious. You mean, like, we actually did it. We actually got through with the key things that we've been trying to give to this podcast and trying to document to this podcast of how to create a healthy relationship. We really did just get tested. You know what I mean? And we really did just use everything we've said in this podcast up, what is it, episode 7? So the past 6 episodes, all the little gems we've been trying to give you of like, oh, we're doing this or we're doing that. And that's why we talk from personal experiences, because we're saying, if this works, we have it documented.
Yeah, so true.
This is what we were doing. And so despite Alexus going into a breakdown, I anchored into what we've spoken about, what we've always prepped for this, like how we would respond or how we want to like be conscious. And you know what I mean? Like, and I anchored down and we rode through it, and using those tools that I always talk about, always build your tools up. I used the tools. I finally got, I was forced to pull out my tool bag and use every single tool I had there, and we got through it. And it's so, even like these past few days have been so beautiful for me, because the thought and of like, no one can fully understand who I was in my past self apart from me. You mean? Because I was the person, I was in my head, and no way could Emma have done what we did. You mean? Like, she would never have gotten through that. She would have crumbled and collapsed, and it would have ended really badly. So it's gotten me to the place where I feel like, you know, I've made it. And that doesn't mean I'm stopping, and it might not look like I've made it outside in like society terms, but I've really made it for me in my personal life, in my mind, because the growth that I have, like, the person I always wanted to be is really finally coming through. And I really am the person, you know what I mean, I always dreamt of and knew I could be, just, you know what I mean? So I feel like in my own life, I've made it. And now the world is just kind of got to catch up to realizing how much I've made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the growth that I've done is just insane. And I want to say that because I was a person who had little to no hope, and had no idea how I could ever make it to where I am. So like,
now you're here.
Yeah, and for me, if I were to talk to that Emma, the fucked up Emma, who knows she's fucked up, like, to show her this is like to give her hope. And that's all that I want people. It's the people that want to change but feel like they can't. Like, I want to be the proof that you can change. Anyway.
Yeah, wow. I actually started to feel so emotional with you saying that. And I just want to state how grateful I am for you during this process. And something that came to mind as well, which we read in The Power of Now, is about, and I'm going to fucking butcher this, but is basically about how, you know, if, you know, two unconscious, and when I say unconscious, you know, being conscious of, like, how would you say that? Beings, yeah, like being understanding, empathetic, etc.
Conscious, like how we always refer to conscious.
So two
not
unconscious,
unconscious,
not knocked out, KO'd. So, like, two unconscious beings in a relationship, you know, as we've both previously been in, you just kind of keep going back and forth, and you fire at each other and whatnot. But even though I was being unconscious in that breakdown, because you were conscious and you were staying true to yourself, it really bounced off you onto me, and it
brought you up.
It brought me up. Yeah, it really got us through that. And it just reminded me of that, because without you being anchored, we wouldn't be here right now.
No.
And because I wasn't anchored, it was just like, I could have just kept spiraling, and we could have just you know,
become very unconscious and
yeah,
very toxic.
exactly. So even it really just sets in that even just one conscious being, that can be a domino effect for so many relationships around, which is just incredible. And I also want to honor my growth as well, because my breakdown was so, like, I really held myself together compared to how I would have in previous years. And when I get into those mindsets of, you know, wanting to break down, my go-to is to, you know, do something that's gonna like harm myself, or do something that's really detrimental to myself, whether it's physically or emotionally. I do something to kind of like, I don't know, just make myself feel even worse. And this time around, it's like, even though I had those urges, I really wanted to, I feel so set in like my sacredness of my body, that to do that would just be such a disservice and such like a dishonoring of myself, because dishonoring, is that even a word? Dishonor? Because I'm so connected with my body, and like it's a fucking temple, and to hurt myself physically would be like, I just feel like it would be hurting someone I love so deeply. So
That's
it was
so beautiful.
Yeah, so it was just, for me to look back at that was just so nice, because years ago I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And so that was good. Yeah.
And I really like how, even though you went into this mental breakdown, you were so quick to coming back from
Recover,
it,
yeah.
and taking accountability and to discuss it and unpack it, and when we reflected on it, to like understanding where next time you can improve or do better, and like, you
Yeah.
mean, like, it wasn't like you just was like, yeah, but this is how I felt, you mean?
Yeah, there's no trying to go back to how I was hurt.
Yep.
Because I feel like, well, you understand where I was coming from, and I've understood where you were coming from. So now we can meet at a place like, okay, yeah, you know, it did suck and it hurt a lot, but we're not holding on to that. We're letting that go. We're focusing on what we can reflect on and do better in future. If happen to be in a situation like that again, okay, where can we do things that might help in a healthy way?
Yeah.
Which is really nice. And yeah, I feel like I recovered from that breakdown really well. Like, it was only a few days ago, right?
Yeah.
That breakdown?
Yeah.
Like a week
Maybe a
ago?
week ago,
Yeah.
yeah.
So previously I probably would have stayed in that pit for like weeks after, and just feeling shit and shameful and guilty and whatnot. But you just got to let go of that.
And right after, we're like after the conversation where we realized we just got through it. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
In not one conversation, it was multiple conversations before that. But that one conversation was like, done. It's done. We got through it.
Yeah, and it was like, I felt like, because all those previous conversations were so dead-ended, like it was just a dead end, I was like, you know, we're doomed. Like, and that's such a shitty headspace to be in. But I was already like really depressed.
We walked out of that tent. Like, we walked in the tent fucking half hanging on to this relationship.
Yeah.
We walked out stronger than we ever
Yeah.
have been. Like, you mean? Like,
And then we both went and played cards that
made
night.
caramel
Like,
slice,
yeah, it was-
danced a little.
yeah, it was really, really good.
And ever since then, it was so cool to walk out of that tent like a whole new person. Like, wow, like, we fucking did that. Did you see that? We just did that. Like, you mean?
Yeah, truly. And it's just like beautiful. I don't know. I just love that. Like, we didn't give up on each other, which is
No.
amazing.
Yeah.
And because in 2 days, we've been together for a year.
Yeah, 1 year is coming up. 3 days.
3 days.
It's
My
our
bad.
1 year.
Yeah, which is just bizarre. Like, who starts a podcast before, like, you've even made it to 6 months or
About
something?
healthy relationships. But we're talking about creating a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
By the way, it's so cool too, knowing that we're about to hit this year with so many tools in our back pockets, in our toolbox. Like, the foundation is stronger than ever. And because of that foundation that we started, which you can start at any time in your relationship.
Yeah.
But because of that foundation, we were able to get through that really rough 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so,
Like, you just need two people who are committed and open-minded
and
and
conscious
and
willing to put in the work, really.
yeah. And it's just, I don't know, after our conversation, I keep wanting to go back to the next episode's topic. But I don't want to spoil it. I don't, because there's just so much I can say about it. Because it really all ties into how we feel about each other, and
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be a good one. But I think actually, I think this has been a good one.
yeah, me too.
We did,
We'll fucking quickly update you. Yes, we tried to record it. Yes, Emma had another mental breakdown. That's 7 episodes in a row, probably more because we have so many episodes that we have not uploaded because of my mental breakdowns. Yes, I still am a little bit of a perfectionist, but I really like how this episode turned out.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we stopped and started again.
yeah, and it wasn't a bad break. It wasn't like,
No, I didn't have a breakdown.
feel
I was just like, we gotta
Yeah.
restart.
maybe because I feel like I don't want to invalidate my breakdown because it was really bad by saying little things are breakdowns.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we should be like, I just
Change
wanted to
that wording.
restart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she wasn't feeling the best about it. And I was like, you know what, neither am I. We, for some reason, dragged on shit that was just way too long.
Anyway,
But we got here.
we got here.
And I'm really, yeah, is there anything else you want to touch base on? I think that was like, that's pretty good. And
covered it.
I don't know, it's just, I feel really good.
The kookaburras are talking to me.
They are fucking talking to her, and we will talk about that in the next episode. Don't spoil it.
The kookaburras are talking to me. They literally are talking to me. And you might call me crazy, but they're talking. They have spoken words to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to leave it on that. If you want to know what that means, listen to the next episode. We love you guys.
Yeah.
So... Oh, wait, no.
What?
I love you, Alexus.
I love you, Emma.
And we love you guys.
Thank you for listening.
FTB, baby.
Fuck the boxies.
FTB.
We love you. Did you stop it? Oh, no, she's still going. But yeah. Thank you. Have a lovely, lovely day.